Let's talk about a strategy that nobody's talking about on LinkedIn that can actually drive you sales and results for your business. Welcome back, Rocketers, to another show where we've got some extra fuel to make your sales rocket. And doing that today is Daryl Weeks, who works with brands all throughout the world in helping their teams utilize LinkedIn to not just build connections, but to actually, at the end of the day, do business. One approach that he talks about is more of a long tail approach, building that relationship, nurturing it, and then doing business. Another one is that shotgun approach. Both very effective, but pay attention to around 4 or 5 minutes in, where he discusses on a way of building a relationship and then mutually, each of you, using Messenger in LinkedIn, recommend each other's product or service to your existing followers. It is a very unique strategy. It made a lot of sense. I was thinking about it all throughout last night. We didn't dive deep enough in this show about it. So down below in the show notes, I'm actually going to provide some further information on that, because I'm telling you, nobody is really doing this. But if you think about the psychology of it, it makes so much sense. So without further ado, let's just jump right into this interview and hear Daryl's wisdom to help make our sales rocket.
The first thing you need to understand is the vast majority of people who are on LinkedIn don't understand what it is. You've got 766 million accounts. 766, that's 750 million people are on LinkedIn. But the numbers tell us that most people don't understand how to use it, because only 310 million people actually use it on a monthly basis. And I would estimate that probably 0.5% of those understand what LinkedIn is. And what it actually is the world's largest open source database with every client you want to work with all of their information readily available to you, but people don't use it. And the reason they don't use it is really simple. It's a bit like a 1980s Ferrari. The idea of a 1980s Ferrari for a lot of people is a great idea, but the reality of owning it is not so great, because it takes maintenance, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes commitment to actually make stuff work, and people don't have the time to make it work. The other problem that we've got is there are a number of scammers on there. So trust is another big challenge for people when they send invites to people. So the connection rate becomes lower, and you get mistrust. Sometimes you get put in LinkedIn jail because people say, no, I don't want to connect with you. And you've got 300 characters to actually convince someone as to why you want to connect with them or demonstrate the value that you've got.
So you've shared some of your strategies with me. So share some gold with us right now. What are you seeing that's really just driving success, not only for a connection, because that's just a vanity metric, but the actual follow-up after the connection?
Yeah, there's 2 components to LinkedIn. One is you've got to build a database. Marketing 101. LinkedIn, through its Sales Navigator feature, allows you to target exactly who your market is, and you have 30,000 connections that you can have in your target market worldwide. And technology now allows us to work worldwide. Most of my work, I'm based in Australia. I'm based in country Australia, so I'm in the bush. And I work with people in Singapore, the US, Canada, the UK, New Zealand. I work all over the world because technology allows me to do that. So the first thing to understand is that you need to build a database of connections. Now, what we've discovered is the best way to do that is to make it as personalized as possible. Now, every LinkedIn marketer in the world will tell you to use the same kind of scripts. There's about 3 different scripts they use. Now, we've got common connections, What we do is we've learned how to embed video into the invitation. So it plays inside the LinkedIn platform. So the 300 characters you get to connect with someone actually directs them to watch the video. Then you can have a 2-minute conversation about why you want to connect, where the value is in connecting. And now you're actually having a conversation with someone who has real value to you, and you have real value to them. Your connection rate goes up, the barriers to come down, the trust factor goes up. It's a far more engaging medium. Now that's step 1. Where most people go wrong is they build a network and they forget there's a second part to it, which is, how do I add value to your business? Or as we call it, the conversion campaign. The conversion campaign is, how can I help you be more successful in your job? How can I help you be more successful in your role? What can I do that will help you attract more clients to you? What have I got that's of value to you? Now, that campaign, once again, we use video as part of our medium to get our message to our particular market. But what we're doing now is we're having a conversation with someone. And the key thing here is that 96% of the people that you're connected with don't want to do business with you today. And everyone's trying to get you to do business today. And you go, hang on, I don't want to do business today, but maybe next month, maybe 6 months, maybe 12 months down the track. What I have to do is I have to create a value-based conversation. And video is the best way to do that. You can record a video, a 90-second video, script it out, and then you send it to your database. Now, the interesting thing here is that if you've got 30,000 connections and targeted connections, and you were to send them a direct message through Messenger, which you can do once you're connected with someone, up to 97% of the people that you send the message to will open your message and watch your video. Now, if you send them an email, what kind of numbers do you get when you send an email? We know how ineffective email is. So you need a database of over 100 million people to get anywhere with any real sort of traction. But on LinkedIn, because you've got a connection, because you know these people, because you've started to build a relationship, you can get up to 97% of the people opening up your message and watching your video. And some of the really cool stuff that we're doing now involves having your connections actually promoting you to their connections. So sending a video, creating a video and sending a video to their connections saying, I met this awesome guy called Michael Koala. You got to check this guy out because he's awesome. Now, how powerful that is as a third-party endorsement?
So how are you getting them to do that?
Really, really simple. Asking. You build a relationship. You say, hey, I want to do a favor. How about we do this? How about I promote you to my connections? And I got 30,000 connections, and I'm going to go out and say, I'm going to check you out. And if I think that you have something of value that my connections could use, I'll do a campaign and promote you to my connections. And how about you do the same to your connections? Now we're leveraging each other's databases, promoting each other's businesses and supporting each other. And the cost is zero.
That's awesome. And so let's just back up one moment. You said the initial connection, you are sending a video. Yes. And so how are you getting that URL inside of that invitation?
Okay, so we worked for about 6 months to figure out how to actually get the URL into the invitation and how to get it to play inside that. And I'll let everyone else figure that out themselves because
it takes a while.
It took us a while to do that. But the key here is it's not a link. It doesn't take you outside of LinkedIn. It actually plays.
Which is what LinkedIn's trying to prevent.
Yeah. So there's a GIF that plays inside the message. So when the message turns up, it's not just text. There's actually a GIF that plays. Excuse me. You click on the GIF and then the video plays inside LinkedIn. So it's keeping people inside LinkedIn. One of the secrets that we have found here is that if you don't have Sales Navigator, if you're not paying LinkedIn any kind of fee, the likelihood of ending up in LinkedIn jail is much, much higher. So if you're paying them and you've got Sales Navigator, then we've had no problems with none of our clients gone to LinkedIn jail. We've had no dramas whatsoever in running campaigns for them.
And how many invitation connection requests are you sending out traditionally on a daily basis?
Between 90 and 100 per day we send out for our clients.
Okay, and I'm going to guess they see an insane reply rate?
Yeah. We've seen connection rates as high as 70, 80%. That's at the extreme end of connection. Now, that's partially because we are very targeted with who we're sending the message to. It's partially because the medium, having the video in there, connects with people. Out of the thousands and thousands of messages that we've sent, connection messages that we've sent, we've had one negative comment come back where a guy came back and said, hey, clicking on a link from someone I don't know would be the definition of insanity. And I went, okay, no problem. So I wrote to him personally and said, mate, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I'll withdraw the invitation. No problem. Done. Fixed. No problem anymore. But that's out of thousands and thousands of invitations. We had one negative comment.
That's incredible. And so just as we're wrapping up here, invitation goes out, and then what's the time between accepting and then that follow-up?
What we tend to do is we tend to send a series of value-based messages directly after that, so a week after that. So it's not, there's no pitch, there's no sales pitch here. What we do is we send out and say, hey, here's some stuff that we're doing that you might find interesting. I'm giving this away, I'm sharing this with you because you might find it useful. So we're building a relationship. We've also run a separate kind of campaign, which is a very upfront campaign. And the upfront campaign basically says, this is what we're doing. If you're interested in being involved or chatting to us about that, let's connect. If not, sorry to bother you. So we've actually run some really upfront campaigns that says, I don't have time to muck around. You don't have time to muck around. I've got something that might help you. If you want to have a chat, let's have a chat. Now, the connection rate on that is much lower because we're being completely upfront. You know, we're not trying to convince someone to connect with us. We're actually sending them a video that tells them why we want to connect with them. And if that doesn't suit them, then they're free to simply go, no, thanks very much. And you go, no drama. I won't be offended if you don't connect, but I'm keen to build a network of people that can potentially help each other. Want to do that? Fantastic. If not, no drama whatsoever. So we're running a couple of different kinds of campaigns at the moment.
Night and day. And so on that other opposite side where you're getting, obviously much less acceptance rate, but the quality of the follow-up after that is probably driving that action. Can you share with us, like maybe an example, like you don't have to talk about the customer, but maybe just a niche and what that action was that you were looking for?
I'll give you a niche. It's a business coach that I'm working with in New Zealand, and his niche are Christian business owners. Now, he's a Christian, and he wants to connect with Christian business owners, right? So we're being right up front in the video, and he's telling people, if you're not a Christian, if you don't, then don't connect with me, because I want to work with Christian business owners. So his whole approach is he wants to understand what he calls making God your CEO, what impact that has on your business. So we're telling people now, and I told him right up front, I said, this niche is going to be incredibly successful, but you're going to have people who go, absolutely no way, don't want to know who you are. You mentioned God, dude, I'm out of here. And you go, that's the price you pay. But there'll be people who go, absolutely, here's someone who gets me, who understands me, and I want to work with this person. So that campaign is now producing some awesome data for us to look at as an example. I've got another client who happens to be a business coach. Actually, we've got a real estate agent that we're running at the moment. Real estate agents, I've got to tell you, LinkedIn for real estate agents is just off the charts, because I haven't met anyone in the real estate industry in the US who knows how to use LinkedIn to actually build their niche and create a database of people who ultimately buy and sell houses on a regular basis. And if you use LinkedIn to do that, once again, if your niche is right, if you figure out how to actually position yourself, I'll give you an example. We work with a couple down in Alabama, and their niche were empty nesters. These were successful business owners and C-level people who've got big houses. The kids have gone to college, and they rattle around this big house. And they're going, well, hang on, we want to downsize. Well, there's an emotional attachment to the house. There's stuff that happened. There's, that's where little Johnny fell over and broke his knee, and that's where Sally, had her first, 16th birthday party, all this kind of stuff. So they developed a process that allows these people to transition from the big houses into a smaller house, but be very, very aware of the emotional connections. Now, that campaign was extraordinarily successful because we were connecting specifically with people who'd been in business for a certain period of time, who owned their own business or at C level. And you go, yeah, if you've been at this job for 20 years or 30 years, there's a fair chance, A, you've got a big house, B, the kids have gone to college. And if you want to sell the house, our whole messaging was around, hey, we understand how to do this. That's so incredible. Real estate agents, mortgage brokers on LinkedIn, you go, why aren't you connected with every person in your local area? Why don't you do that? It's because, once again, it's like a Ferrari from the 1980s. It takes a lot of maintenance and effort, unless you get someone really smart to do it for you.
That's awesome. Dal, how can folks learn more about you?
Mate, they can send me an email. We have a really basic website because I don't actually do any SEO. I don't generate any leads through my website. We generate all of our business through LinkedIn connections and referrals. So they can send me an email to Daryl@letslinkin.com, or they can check out letslinkin.com, or they can look me up on LinkedIn is the best thing to do, and send me a connection request, Daryl Weeks on Let's LinkedIn.